So we just had the press conference for Gennady Golovkin versus Danny Jacobs, the big middleweight showdown, which is taking place later on this year. The press conference was at Madison Square Garden. And although it was, as far as I'm aware, just a press conference, it wasn't open to any members of the public. I was still a little surprised by how few people appeared to be there, how even few members of the press appeared to be there. Maybe I'm a little spoiled because in the United Kingdom, the press conferences tend to be, for big fights at least, a lot more lively. And I'm not just, specifically talking about the fighters trash talking each other. No, I just mean there tends to be a lot more press in the room than there was for this press conference. But whatever the case is, it was what you would expect. The two guys were very respectful. I think in the build up to this fight, there's going to be more back and forth between the trainers than there is between the two fighters. They said their piece. They said what you would expect them to say as far as the fighters. When they did the face-off at the end, it was noticeable that Danny Jacobs was bigger than Triple G, certainly taller. And yeah, physically he looked bigger, a bit broader in the shoulders and whatnot. Whether he'll be able to utilize that in the fight remains to be seen, but it should be interesting while it lasts. Most people, including myself, feel Danny Jacobs' suspect punch resistance will, and of course he's in there with a very big puncher in Triple G, will eventually present itself in the fight. And when it does, will Triple G be able to finish Danny Jacobs off? Because I do think that Danny Jacobs should be able to have some success on the outside. I think he's got the longer arms than Triple G. He's taller. He can move. He is fast. He's explosive. He can punch himself. But at some stage, I would imagine Triple G's pressure and his excellent ability to close distance and cut off the ring and maintain constant pressure, it'll eventually pay dividends. That's what I feel. But I do feel that while Danny Jacobs is in there and while he's able to do his thing on the outside, he may be able to win some rounds and make it competitive. I'm certainly not discounting the possibility of Danny Jacobs winning. Not at all. Because as several people said at a press conference who got up on the podium, Golovkin's faced punchers before. He's faced movers before, but he's never faced a guy who can move and punch or a guy who can box and punch before. And Danny Jacobs is that guy. But similarly, Danny Jacobs has never faced anybody like Triple G. So it should be interesting. The other thing I have to mention is that apparently Virgil Hunter is being drafted in to be an advisor for Danny Jacobs. I don't really understand that move because he already has a trainer. So what is Virgil Hunter's role exactly? To come in and undermine the trainer? When the trainer's saying, do this, Danny, Virgil Hunter says, no, don't do that. Do it this way. Is the trainer going to be humble enough to say, okay, I'm going to defer to Virgil Hunter during training camp? Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it can work out. But when there's egos involved and stuff like that, and imagine if you were a trainer and your fighter told you, well, we need to bring in this other trainer to advise. You might feel a bit slighted by that. You might feel a bit undermined by that. But maybe the trainer is a humble guy. Maybe it was his suggestion. I don't know. So make of that what you will. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Who do you think is going to win this fight? How do you think this fight's going to go? What did you make of the press conference? How did you think both fighters looked? I know a lot of people like to make out that, oh, this guy looked nervous or that guy looked nervous. I think Danny Jacobs should be more nervous than Triple G because Triple G's been in bigger fights than Danny Jacobs and he's been on the world stage for longer. So if anybody has to be a little nervous, particularly on fight night, it would be Danny Jacobs, you would imagine. But then again, this is a guy who has battled and beat cancer, which has to be a more daunting fight than taking on Triple G. Because when you're fighting cancer, you're battling for your life. And there is an element of that in boxing, but most boxing matches do not end up with people dying. It's a fairly small risk when you get in the ring in terms of losing your life. You're probably not going to lose your life in a boxing ring. It can happen. It does happen occasionally, unfortunately, but you're probably not. But with cancer, the chances of dying are very high. So particularly the severity of cancer that Danny Jacobs had. If you've read up about the story, you'll know that cancer was very bad that he had. And it's miraculous that he was able to make a full recovery from it and be boxing again. Incredible. So having gone through something like that, maybe it really has steeled his resolve to the point where fighting a Triple G on this big stage in his hometown won't faze him in the slightest. So there you go with that. He seemed confident to me. I didn't see any nervousness there. He seemed all right. And he wants to execute his game plan, which I'm pretty sure we all know what it's going to be. I don't think he's going to do what some people believe you have to do to beat Triple G, which is smother him on the inside like Evander Holyfield did to Mike Tyson. I think to be able to do that, you have to have excellent defense on the inside and you have to have a very, very good chin. I'm not sure about the excellent defense on the inside, but as far as the very, very good chin, I don't see that with Danny Jacobs. So let me know what you think in the comment section, people. Are you looking forward to this fight? Do you think it's going to be competitive? How many rounds do you think it will go? Are you one of those people who actually thinks that Danny Jacobs can spring the upset? Drop it all in the comment section below. There was something else I wanted to mention about this press conference, but I can't remember what it was now. I know Abel Sanchez, did he say anything? No, I think I've pretty much covered everything in the press conference. As I say, it wasn't particularly eventful. There was nothing really said there, apart from, oh yeah, Tom Loeffler, who is the promotional representative of Gennady Golovkin for K2 Promotions. He said that Danny Jacobs never tried to duck the fight. That's what Tom Loeffler said. He said that there was never any indication that Danny Jacobs didn't want it. There was certain business contractual things that Team Jacobs weren't happy about and they wanted to make sure that they got. And Jacobs, I believe it was his manager who got up, certainly one of his team who got up there and talked about it. And he said, yes, we were a bit difficult in negotiations because we wanted certain things in the contract. So that's what the holdup was. That's why the fight didn't happen in late 2016, because we needed certain business things to be taken care of before we would proceed. So Danny could go into the fight 100% comfortable from a business perspective. And those things were taken care of. And also, with it being it's not really a unification, it's a consolidation of the regular WBA belt and a super belt, there is no rematch clause. That was made clear at the press conference. So whoever wins this fight can just sail off into the sunset. They're not obligated to give the other guy a rematch. So that's pretty much the whole thing covered. Let me know what you thought of it if you saw the press conference. And yeah, let me know what you think of the matchup. Who's going to win the fight? How's the fight going to go? And if there's anything that I haven't touched on here, maybe from the psychological point of view of both fighters, then feel free in the comment section to start a discussion about it. All right? It's your boy Hatman. I'm out.